What's going on, guys? So in this video, we're going to talk about Dark Souls 3. It's been out for about a day now. Well, for everybody who didn't get the game early, it's been out for a day. And I figured we should talk about this because this is a game series that is really interesting to me, and I want to talk about my experience with the game, with Dark Souls 3 and the Souls series in general, and then we're just gonna kind of talk about my overall opinion with Dark Souls 3 specifically. So starting off, I'm gonna give you guys a rundown of my Dark Souls experience. The first Dark Souls I've ever played was Dark Souls 2. Played that back in 2014, completely new to the series, and I heard so many great things about it. I seen on Steam that Dark Souls 1 had a overwhelmingly positive feedback score, and I was like, you know, why not? People keep talking about how great of a game series this is, and I just want to see what all the hype is about. So I get it, and things didn't exactly go the way I planned. If you guys want to see the video, I actually have my first ever playthrough, well, my first ever session with the game on my channel, like my first blind playthrough. I have that on my channel. I will try to link it in the description below, but it's going to be hard to find because that video was made like 2 years ago. But so yeah, I played it, and I just found it really hard, and that's really the only real reason at the time why I didn't like it, is because it felt hard and I felt like the game didn't have any real direction. Now, I'm not making this video to knock Dark Souls. I'm not making this to offend any seasoned veterans of the series. I'm just giving my personal opinion and my experience with the game. Of course, my experience may differ from yours. That's just normal. We're all people. We all have different opinions, and we're entitled to them. So I didn't like the game at all. It felt like it had no direction. It felt like it was hard just to be hard. The combat system was so clunky, and nothing felt like it really flowed. So I just immediately put the game down. I didn't even try to play it anymore. That was it. I was done. So once I was done with Dark Souls 2, I just stopped playing completely. And then somewhere in the mix, I played Dark Souls 1, and that in itself was a little bit better, actually, because I knew a little bit about the combos, well, not the combos, but I knew a little bit about the combat system, and transitioning into 1, and the only reason why I played 1 was because it was free on Xbox Live on the 360, so I said, shit, why not? I mean, it's free. So I played it, and I really wasn't taking it too serious, so I didn't really get too angry. I didn't have anything to really criticize about the game, but it felt like the same thing, and I just knew that there was something about this that wasn't really, that just didn't feel right. You know, besides the combat system and besides what feels like to me a lackluster story, I just knew there was something off besides all of that. And after that, time had went on, and I think maybe a year later, I picked up Bloodborne, and that, oh my god, that game was so hard. But here's the thing. I came back basically into this series like a year later, and it was really refreshing because I got to see things from a whole different angle. I was, you know, games, and just as people, we evolve as time goes on. And seeing this game, or this game series, again a year later with fresh eyes, it was really different. You know, it seemed like it was, I don't know how to put it into words, but it just felt really refreshing. And while playing it, you know, it still had that really hard Dark Souls feel, because for those of you who don't know, people who made Bloodborne are also the same people who make the Dark Souls games. So it still had that very familiar formula, but I really enjoyed it, though. That's the thing. I actually enjoyed it. My only problem with Bloodborne was the blood vials. For some reason, I just felt like I never had enough. And one thing that kind of irked me about the Dark Souls series is that whenever you die, you respawn at the previous bonfire. So you have to go back to wherever you were. And in my case, I was stuck on the first boss. I would die and then have to run all the way back to the first boss. And God forbid I get attacked by something I can't run past, and I die, and I respawn. And it's just like, it felt like a never-ending loop at times, because I wish the game kind of had like a save system, because that way, and I know that may sound kind of off-putting to you seasoned Dark Souls players, But the only reason I say that is because, and I know you yourself have experienced this, where you die and then you are going to run back to the same place you were before, but you don't want to fight any of the same enemies. So you just run past everybody, and somewhere along the line you get stuck on something, be it a glitch, be it an NPC, whatever, and then the whole entire town just mobs you and you just die. And that just happens quite a bit, and it was really getting annoying to me. And it got to the point where I just felt like I was getting so frustrated, to the point where I wasn't taking my time, and I felt like I couldn't be patient because every little thing was really getting to me. So I put down Bloodborne completely. I just felt like it really wasn't for me, just not my game. I can understand why people like it and the rewarding feeling you get once you beat a boss, or once you finally once you finally beat that insanely hard boss that's took you over like 100 tries. I can see why people really liked that game. I really can. But I basically felt that it just wasn't for me. It just really wasn't. In my opinion, I felt like it had a lackluster story, basically a non-existent one. I'm pretty sure there is lore there, but I didn't notice anything at all. I mean, it just felt lackluster, non-existent. The gameplay I actually grew to like. The gameplay isn't bad at all. The reason why I felt like it was lackluster a year ago was because I didn't really know what I was doing. But you know, again, I came back here with fresh eyes and I was able to kind of play it all over, and then I got the hang of the controls and I really liked it. After that, I put down Bloodborne, and then a year later we come into, actually no, I'm sorry, I came back to Dark Souls 1, and I thoroughly enjoyed that game. Of course, it was the same game essentially, except Bloodborne is a bit harder than the Dark Souls games. So revisiting Dark Souls 1, I actually had a blast. It was really fun. It felt like I was getting the hang of the game and the controls. But again, for me, when it comes to gaming, I like my games to have a good story and just good gameplay. While it had good gameplay, it didn't have good story. At least not story that I seen anywhere. I know these games have so much lore in them, but where are they? I mean, I know I didn't get too far into the game, and maybe that's what I need to do to get the story, but from what I can see, there isn't really that much story. Again, I'm pretty sure it's there, but I haven't really seen it. So played some of Dark Souls 1. I didn't beat it or anything or get too far into it, but I played it casually and I really enjoyed it. I kind of put it down, came back to it. It was kind of on and off with it. So as time went by, you know, a year later, we come to Dark Souls 3. Now, coming into this, I wanted to be as prepared as possible. I watched lots of YouTube videos on what kind of builds, and I just wanted to familiarize myself with the lore and the story, the gameplay, what's good, what's not good. You know, it's kind of like a strategy guide in a sense, except it's actually not. And I don't really buy those at all. I felt like looking up videos on YouTube and kind of learning the game that way would be really cool and be a way to really get me in the series, since, you know, I guess this is the last one, and I figured that maybe I could get into the series, play 3, and then get so hooked into it that I can play all the other games, Dark Souls 1, 2, and Bloodborne, and get that thorough enjoyment that I know is there. So, Dark Souls 3, here we are. How is Dark Souls 3? Now, I think it's a good game. It's good. It really does a good job of easing you into the game. They don't just kind of throw you in like in Bloodborne. It's just kind of like a, you make your character, they put you in the game, and they slowly ease you into it. And you fight the first boss, which comes relatively quickly in the game, which I really was kind of surprised at. I was surprised at how I got to that point so quick. But it's not because I was good or anything. It's just because the way the game is set up is that you're going to run into the first boss within the first 10, 15 minutes maybe. And if you're a vet, maybe 5 minutes. Just depends on how you play and where you go. But with that being said, I think it's a really good game. It's solid. It feels smooth. I got the PC version. For those of you who don't, I got the PC version because the PS4 version, I heard it had bad frame pacing, and we're not going to get into that. But basically, got the PC version, and it runs smooth. It wasn't really a bad port, and that was something I was kind of afraid of because, you know, recently we've been having a lot of bad ports. I heard The Division was a really horrible one. Naruto, I heard, was awful. You know, awful PC port at first, and now it's a lot better right here. But back to Dark Souls 3. I keep getting kind of sidetracked a little bit, but back to that. It's a good game. It's solid. Gameplay smooth. Really crisp 60 FPS, And like I said, it does a really good job of introducing you to the game, to the world and everything. And of course, you will die a lot. You will get pissed off. You know, it's simple stuff. It's normal Dark Souls stuff. But I feel that my problem with Dark Souls, now correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But my problem with Dark Souls is I feel like the game doesn't have any real flow to it. What I mean by that is, story, at least for me, a story gives a game flow and it keeps me coming back to it. It keeps me wondering what's going to happen next. With Dark Souls, I don't really get that. I just feel like everything I'm doing is for nothing. That's just how I feel personally when I'm playing. I feel like I just beat the first boss and I'm like, okay, but why did I do this? Why am I here? I had to get into the series, I had to is that how you say it? Wikipedia? Basically, I had to go on Wikipedia and I had to look some stuff up. And I feel like for a game, you should not have to do that at all. The story should kind of explain itself as it goes on. You shouldn't have to go on the internet and look up what is the story about. And I felt like that's what I had to do because I listened to the intro and everything and it really didn't make much sense to me. I was just kind of watching and I'm like, okay, alright, I'm not really sure if 1 and 2 tie into 3. I don't think they do, but they probably, yeah, tongue twisted. They probably do. And I was just kind of sitting there like, okay, again, what am I doing here exactly? What is my end goal at the end of all of this? And I feel like that's my biggest problem with the games. It's just that they all don't really feel like they have any flow, any focus to them. I feel like it's just all about the gameplay, which is that's not a bad thing at all. People like that, but me, I'm different. I like a game that has story. I like a game that has good gameplay, and if it doesn't have good gameplay, I at least like it to have a story. And if it doesn't have a story, I feel like I'm just not interested. And I didn't know that about myself until I really played this game and I put some time into it. And it's just, I just get like an empty feeling. I feel like everything I'm doing doesn't really matter. And again, if you know a lot about the Dark Souls lore and you know all the ins and outs, please explain to me why I'm feeling like this. Like, did I miss something? Is it my fault? Please tell me, because I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of playing the game just to play, and it doesn't feel like, I feel like I'm not enjoying the game like everybody else is. And I just think that's, that leads into what I was saying earlier, was that I just feel like it's not for me. This kind of game is just not for me at all. I mean, maybe if it had like a story that kind of was going somewhere, that would keep me interested, like, oh, what's gonna happen next? I gotta beat this boss to see this next cutscene. I know the game has cutscenes, but again, the story is what I'm driving at. And I mean, let's take a game that didn't have too much story. Metal Gear Solid 5 didn't have too much story compared to the other games, but the story always kept me coming back, wondering what's going to happen next. What's going to happen, what's going to happen here, what's going to happen there, will I do this, will I kill this person, will I not kill this person? Things always just kept me coming back to the game. With Dark Souls, I just feel like it's all about the gameplay, which isn't a bad thing. Again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm really hating on this game. I'm not angry or pissed off or upset or just furious about the game. I'm really not. I enjoy the game. I just feel like it's more of a game that I can play casually every now and then. And it doesn't feel like a game I can go full hardcore mode like I can do in The Witcher or like I can do in Fallout 4. It just feels really bland. And if you know much about the lore, can you just fill me in, please? Because I just really don't get it. I just don't get it. I get why people like the game. I just don't get the story. And I don't really get much of anything of what I'm doing. Why am I here? What's the point of this? Like, what's the point of everything that I'm doing right now? It's just so weird. I don't understand anything. So, to chop Dark Souls up, Dark Souls 3 and the series, I think they're really good games. If you are the kind of person who's really into gameplay, and I'm pretty sure if you're into extensive lore that is not so obvious, then this is the kind of game series for you, definitely. The gameplay's there. Trust me, the gameplay and the difficulty is there. And I love that about the game. I really, really do. But I just feel like it's empty and I'm just missing something. Or maybe I'm empty and I'm missing something. Again, if you know much about the Dark Souls series, please do not, don't hesitate to let me know what I'm missing out on. Tell me all the ins and outs, and just because I just need a better understanding. I feel like that's what I need right now, because the game just feels empty to me. But that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a rating. You know I love it when you like it. And as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, have a great day.